Hi and welcome to tonight's tutorial. Thank you for joining me again. Just in case you haven't joined before, I am Pam Wrigley and I am a wedding hairstylist. And tonight I'm going to show you a beautiful style for, well, it could either be for short or medium length hair. You could create the same style on long hair, but you might need a bit more of an anchor point, but it is a beautiful style. And even if somebody has very fine hair, the way we prep the hair, it gives the hair kind of volume and body, and it makes it look thick and gorgeous. So I have already done quite a bit of prep on the practice head, and I actually started the style already. So this is actually a style that I'm going to show in detail, in depth on our online training course. So this is just a kind of little taster. So for those of you that are watching that are already students on our online course, just keep an eye out because we have some lovely new tutorials in the pipeline, and we add new tutorials every month, at least every month. So this is one of the new ones that's, as I say, is in the pipeline. So let me tell you a little bit of what I've done already. So I have already prepped the hair and I have put some texture into the hair. So she's got a little bit of salt spray in there. I've blow dried the hair with some salt spray. If I was working on a client, I would probably put some mousse as well at the root. So a little bit of mousse at the root, salt spray through the mid-lengths and ends. But if you're working with your practice head, I think you'll probably find the hair, the texture of the hair is just that little bit drier. Well, quite a lot drier, really. So the texture of the hair is much drier, so you actually don't need the mousse. You can just go straight for the salt spray. Now, if you have crimpers, of course, you could crimp the hair with your little micro crimpers to get that extra root lift and volume in there. That will always help. But if you haven't, just blow drying some texture in there will be sufficient, as long as you're quite generous with the product. And then on each section, I started at the nape of the neck and worked my way forward. I have curled, or rather just waved, each section, and I used a wand. And then I just sprayed it. You could use a little bit of setting lotion. So the salt spray that I use is one of my favorite products, the Fudge Urban Sea Salt Spray. But there are lots of salt sprays out there. So, you might have found one that you love, and I'd love to hear about it. So do let me know. One other thing, if you have any questions, please just pop your questions in the chat box. And tonight I actually have an assistant just off camera, so I'm not kind of reading your messages as I'm working. So if you have any questions, please just pop them in the chat box, and my beautiful assistant just off camera will read them out to me, and I will do my best to answer. If I can't answer them today, I will do a little bit of research and get back to you tomorrow. So sea salt spray, and then on each section I have curled, I've prepped the hair, I should say, prior to curling with our Silhouette setting lotion. Now, I think if you look for this now, it's actually changed it slightly. It's the same product. It's a slightly different shaped bottle. It's a little bit rounder, and it's called pump spray, but it's the same thing. It's their setting lotion, essentially. Well, from all intents and purposes, from what I've seen and how it works, it's exactly the same product. So if you bought the setting lotion, you can keep on using it. So each section, a little bit of setting lotion, a gentle wave, and we end up creating this lovely textured style. And I've kind of curled the hair in the direction that I want it to sit in. And you're kind of looking for little spaces in the hair as you're creating all these different waves in the hair, curling it in different directions. And as I say, we are going to have this tutorial, the in-depth version of this tutorial showing from kind of zero hair prep right the way through to the end on our online course. But as you can see, I've created this lovely movement here, getting a little bit of height to the hair. This lady, she didn't really want to have a centre part. I mean, she wants to have a centre part, but I'm trying to force her not to. So she's got a little bit of root lift here as well. And we've brought the hair back, leaving a little bit of hair down at the sides and securing everything. I kind of propped everything on pins first of all, and then created a nice secure anchor, a nice secure base or foundation here with a couple of bobby pins to hold all these lovely, soft, sweeping sections of hair into position. And then we are going to cheat it a little bit because we're going to use a little bit of padding. And I just think this really helps when you're creating these kind of airy styles. If you're working with short hair, it allows you to keep the hair, the sections of hair really soft, but yet still very secure. And if you're working with long, thick, heavy hair, then it gives you an anchor. Something, you don't need to get extra volume usually with long hair because you've got the bulk of the hair, but you do need to make sure it's secure, because you need to remember when you are creating hairstyles for weddings or for special occasions, those hairstyles have to be super secure. So we can't kind of, it's, if we're creating a photo, if we're creating a style for a photograph, then you can kind of throw it together and kind of pop a few pins in, and as long as the model walks very carefully on set, then you know your hairstyle will look amazing. But we can't get away with that when we're creating our special occasion styles and our wedding hairstyles. So I'm using my pin, my strong straight hair pins here to secure the donut to the hair. We already have our nice anchors here, our bobby pins there, holding the hair in position, and we can use those same bobby pins as anchors for our hairpins. So we go in to the donut, the padding, come out again. If you can see that there, and I'm going to do my up and over, take that pin in the different direction. So it's almost like I'm walking down the street in one direction. I'm going to turn around, come back down the street in the same the same street, but back on myself. So I'm not kind of going to go up and go kind of up this way. We're not going around a corner. We're just going down the street in one direction, get to the end, and we turn around and we come back. And that pops in there, and then that doesn't move. Now, if we had a bigger piece of padding, you know, if maybe we're working with a full donut, we might need to put do a little up and over here and another one at the bottom. Whatever way, however many pins you need to get in, make sure that this anchor is super secure. Because although, for example, here in London, we aren't able to go out to any parties at the moment, but our weddings are going to be starting up again very soon. I think hairdressers are allowed to go back to work on the 12th of April. And I think we've got a couple of weddings then, but then we start really getting into the swing of it as we go on into the summer. And we have lots of weddings booked. And I'm just hoping, I think we've got a date, I think it might be the 21st of June, I think, where we're hoping that there won't be any restrictions on anything. Fingers crossed. So now we've got our little bit of padding here. So now is a good time to practice making sure your hairstyles not only look gorgeous, but they are super secure. So you're ready for all our clients that are going to be flooding us with enquiries. So I'm just going to start bringing these little bits of hair up and securing them to the padding.
We have a question.
Oh, great.
Can you do the style with shorter hair? If so, what is the shortest length that would still work?
Good question. So you can do it on, if you, for example, so say she just got a short bob, you might not use the padding, or if you did, it may be much smaller bit, it might be a bit lower down, because of course here I can lift the hair up and cover the padding. But if the hair was shorter, so if I didn't have that amount of hair to come up, if I put the padding a little bit lower and maybe had a narrower kind of section, maybe half the depth here, so there wasn't padding there. So when you bring the hair up, you might just need to bring it up to there. So this hair would be loose, you'd have hair here and it'd be a bit looser, and you'd just bring the hair up, however, so it could only, you know, it might only be a short bob, but you can still do it. It might just mean, you know, if the hair's very short, you could just bring it up to here, but you can get it up, and that's the main thing. If I was working with somebody who did have very short hair, probably what I would do, rather than using the padding, just if the hair was fine and short, then you're going to have to struggle to cover the padding. So what you could do, instead of using padding, is use a little bit of your texturizing powder. You would, and one of my favorites is the Big Sexy Hair powder play, I think it's called, because on whatever color hair you put it on, it just disappears and goes invisible, even on my color hair. So what you would do is sprinkle a little bit of it on the hair, rub it together, so it kind of activates it. I'd sprinkle a little bit on the hair where I'm going to be securing it, and then when you pop that pin in there, the grip kind of grips to the texturizing powder and it really doesn't move. So even if she's got quite short hair, so imagine the hair was kind of just an inch or so here, you can get it up and pin it and secure it. Gorgeous, beautiful, and your bride will be super happy. In fact, I did a style similar to this. You don't even have to have it this textured. I did a style similar to this on one of my bride's grandmas, and it looked so beautiful. She had very short, fine grey hair, but lots of lovely tones, all those lovely natural tones that you get in grey hair, and it just looked exquisite. But she didn't want it all messy like this. You might find, you know, older ladies, they want a little bit of softness, but they don't necessarily want it to look like too messy. So it was just a little bit of texture, but it looked gorgeous. But everybody's different. Some people could be any age and want texture, but you might be young and want it smooth. So the key is, I think, one of the keys to being a successful bridal hairstylist, a special occasion hairstylist, is to be able to create styles for everybody. So, you know, you might be really good at braids, and that's great. But if you get somebody, you know, I really don't like braids, you don't want to be kind of saying, well, sorry, I can't do your hair. So practice and be good at all different techniques, so you're not turning anybody away. And on our online bridal hair course, we have style tutorials, I should say, for all different hair types. So whether you have fine, thin, straight hair, or thick, curly hair, or afro hair, we have style tutorials to help you learn how to create beautiful hairstyles for everybody. And you can see I'm just lifting these little sections up and pinning them to the donut. Easy peasy. So you can put a little twist in it if you like. You can pull it and loosen it a little bit, just to give it a little bit of extra kind of movement. That's it. Here we go. I think it's looking gorgeous already. So that's it. Pop that in. So if you're watching and you haven't yet, you're not an online member, or you haven't yet subscribed to our YouTube channel, it's time to do it. So click subscribe, and don't forget to hit the notification bell so you don't miss our next tutorial. Lovely, lovely, lovely. I need to do something with these ends here, because we don't want these kind of dry ends poking out, spoiling our style. So you could use a little bit of structure cream. This is one of my favorite products, our Goldwell Creative Texture Structure Cream. Or you could use a little bit of spray wax. Another sexy hair product, again, this is Play Dirty. And you could put that on the end, and it just helps. You might find, especially when you're working with the practice heads, they do have a tendency to have quite kind of brittle flyaway ends. So they need a little bit of TLC. But it does stand you in good stead, because, of course, when you work doing weddings, usually, especially if you're working with the bridesmaids, you won't have met them before, and you don't know, you know, what their hair's going to be like. They might have straightened it every day for the last 5 years, in which case it might be in a little bit of a unhealthy state. So we have to learn how to make unhealthy hair look beautiful and healthy and glossy and gorgeous. And actually, it's not as difficult as you might think. In fact, super soft, silky hair can sometimes be more difficult to style than dry, brittle hair. Which is why, well, it's one of the reasons why we put all this texture in the hair. It makes the hair a little bit drier. And I know when I first started, I remember one of my very first brides, I've been doing this now for over 25 years, that's a long time. But I remember when I turned up at one lady's house and her hair was bleached blonde, dry and brittle. And I remember thinking, oh my God, what am I going to do? But you know what? I started working with it and the hair just did exactly what I wanted it to do. It was a dream to work with. So you might be surprised. I think we might be getting there, you know. And you see how easy it was because I've got that padding there. We've got our initial foundation underneath, the bobby pins that were holding all this in place. They created a foundation for the padding, and the padding in turn created a foundation for this lovely little roll here that we have at the back here. So it's a bit like, you know, if you're building a house, if your foundation is wobbly, the rest of the style, you can forget it. It's not going to hold the veil. It won't hold the accessories. So make sure your foundation is secure before you move on to the next stage. And I think we're almost there. A few little accessories, I think, just to finish off. And as I say, I'm really looking forward to getting this style up and out on our online course. And we've got lots of new styles in the pipeline. So we're going to be doing some tutorials coming up. We've got a fabulous new Afro hair specialist. She is amazing. And I just can't wait to work with her and get some new styles on our platform. So we're going to be working with weaves. We're going to do box braids. And I think we're going to do feed-in cane roll braids. We've got lots planned. We're just waiting for lockdown to finish. We can't wait. So to all our online members out there, keep your eyes open because we've got lots of new styles coming up. And as I say, our black hair specialist is amazing. We love her. And I think you are going to love her as well. So let me just...
I have another question.
Ah, great.
Would it be possible to do a session on hairline damage, curly, root, straight hair?
Yeah, you know what? I wonder if we could do... We might have to wait. That's a really good point, actually. We might have to do that. I mean, you do quite often get the problem with hairline damage when you're working with Afro hair, because if it's been braided too tightly and the edges have been included in the braids, then you tend to get that damage where the root gets weaker and weaker. So we will be covering that in some of our Afro hair tutorials. I think we might be able to do that once I'm out of lockdown and I can work with some live models so I can kind of show you what you can do. But to be honest with you, as a stylist, we're kind of coping with the hair that we've got. So whereas if you are a hairdresser advising people on what they can do to keep their hair healthy, that's a slightly different thing to if you're coming in as a hairstylist, because you're dealing with the hair that you've got. So if you're working with somebody who's got kind of quite a damaged hairline, or even kind of very, you know, they might be going not a little bit bald, but, you know, they're losing some of their hair. So sometimes if you work with older ladies who have just kind of gone through the menopause, then the hair has a tendency, it can get thinner. It can get thicker and be very coarse, but on the whole, it tends to get thinner. So you might find little patches where there's not very much hair. And our job then is then to help disguise that. So it would be the same as if you were working with a hairline that's been damaged. And the idea is that you wouldn't pull the hair back. I mean, I have a very kind of, I don't want to poke myself in the eye, let me put that down. I have a very kind of deep set area here at the temple. So, you know, I tend not to pull my hair back. I like it forward. So it's a kind of game of disguise. It's kind of a bit of smoke and mirrors. So I tell you what, it's very good if somebody's going kind of has very fine hair in the middle of the scalp. Heated rollers. Heated rollers are amazing because they give you root lift and volume. When you blow dry the hair to get volume, sometimes you put in a lot of tension on the hair, and that might make your client feel a bit anxious because she's already anxious about her hair. And if you're going to be pulling the hair with the blow dryer, with the brushes you're blow drying, then you're going to be putting more tension on the hair. But heated rollers are amazing because they give root lift and volume. Another thing you can do that I did with one of my mature brides just before we went into lockdown here in London, her wedding was just before Christmas. And what I did is I advised her to get some stuff. It's like this, if I can remember the name, I'll put it on the YouTube chat box tomorrow, probably, or later tonight. But it's kind of little fibres. She bought it from Boots, the chemist here in the UK. And you can get these different colours. And it's little kind of fibres that you sprinkle. Once you've styled the hair, you sprinkle it into the hair. And it catches onto the hair. And it makes it look like it's fuller. And it makes it look like there's lots of hair there, but it's just these little tiny microscopic fibres that fill out the hair. It might be difficult to use at the hairline, but I think you could probably just use a little bit. But if somebody had a damaged hairline, then what I would do is I would style the hair so it covers. The way I've got my hair here, you've just got to do that rather than pulling it back. It's a bit like part of the skill of being a really good bridal hairstylist is working with your clients' kind of insecurities. So whether it's a hairline, whether she's got big ears, thin face, or a fat face, it's our job to create hairstyles. They'll show you these beautiful styles from Instagram. We need to be able to adapt those styles to suit our client's face shape, to cover up their ears, to cover up their hairline. So it's more a game of kind of a little bit of disguise, I think.
I have another question.
Fantastic. One more thing, sorry. And what is key is, you might see I've been looking down when I'm looking and not looking directly at the camera all the time because I have a mirror here. And I would definitely recommend having a mirror when you're creating different styles, because you can see then from a distance, you can see if there are gaps in the hair. You can see if her hairline, if she looks bald anywhere, or if, you know, it's not suiting her face shape. So definitely that'll be another thing that would really help. Always working with a mirror. Okay, thank you.
A question from Carter, and they were just wondering if you were able to help with the pinning of the hair, as it never tends to stay up when they put the hair up.
Yeah, and that is so important. I'm just wondering if we have we do show this in depth. It's harder to show when we do our live tutorials because we can't zoom in. So I can't actually show you close up exactly what I'm doing, but we do have these tutorials in high definition and kind of close up on our online course. But basically what you need to do, I can show you here, but if you can't see, join me online, please. What you need to do is you need to, so say, imagine I wanted to secure this bit of hair back here. Now, I could just put a grip over the top of it, but then of course it'll spoil the style because the grip is visible. So what you need to do is turn the hair. Let me just see if I can do this in the camera. You kind of, let me just see if I can do it without, maybe help if I don't look in the mirror. That's better. Turn the hair so that, let me just see if I can do this. 1 minute. Hold on. So I kind of put a little, you see me turning the hair? Turn the hair like that, so that instead of your finger being on top of the hair that you want to secure, your finger is underneath the hair. So you can't see my fingernail now. And then the bobby pin is going to go, whatever angle you're holding the hair at, so whether it's, at the moment I'm at a diagonal, but it could be vertical or it could be horizontal, but at the moment it's at a diagonal. And you almost don't need to think about it too much because your finger knows how best you've kind of got that muscle memory. You know how to hold that piece of hair with one finger and it will stay there. So what we need to do is replicate what our finger's doing with the bobby pin. So the bobby pin needs to go in at the same angle as your finger, but underneath the finger with a little bit of pressure, so it would kind of go there. Let me see if I can swap hands and do it for you. So you're going to replace what your finger's doing with the bobby pin. It's hard to do it here because I'm doing it backwards. You need to put a bit of pressure on that bobby pin, slide it up and under. It would normally be hidden, but I'm kind of doing it from a funny angle. But basically, it's kind of that in a nutshell, but you'll see it's so much better on our online course. Lots of questions today. I'm loving it. I hope that was a good enough answer for you.
Do you do Asian bridal hairstyles?
Yep.
Also, how do you keep the flyaways down, the difficult ones?
Difficult flyaways. Well, this is one of my favourite products. I do Asian hairstyles, yes. And this is one of my favourite products, my Silhouette Styling Care Lotion. And it's fabulous. It's a really good, it works as a heat protector. It's a really good kind of preparation product. So you can use it before you curl the hair. And then when you're finished, you can use it as a kind of styling aid. It will help to get rid of any flyaways. It's not it's not got a really good strong holding power. So if the hair is very, very flyaway and very brittle, you might be better to use either a spray wax or something like the structure cream. But if she's got very fine hair, you might find, this works well on even on the finest of hair and it doesn't weigh it down. So yeah, it's all about using the right products and making sure the hair isn't too soft and silky and squeaky clean.
We have another question from Carter. How do you put fine hair up without it looking thin?
Volume, hair prep. It's all about the hair prep. This doll's head has actually got quite fine hair, but it's all about the hair prep. So you need to get volume and oomph and root lift in there before you even start thinking about creating the style. But I'll be back next week. You know what? It's been fabulous. We've had loads of questions today and it's been excellent. Any other questions, you can just message me. Join me next week. Don't forget to subscribe. Don't forget to join me online. And but yeah, fine hair like this doll's head, it's all about hair prep.
We have one final question. Hi Pam, I did your bridal course back in July 2018 in Birmingham. For the padding you used today, what did you use?
You know what?
Was it a cut up donut?
Yeah,
Joe.
Exactly that. It was a donut cut up. It's just, and you'd be surprised how many little pieces of padding you can get from one donut. It's fantastic. So they kind of, I've got bags full of donuts. Buns used to be really big and fabulous, and then we'd use a big donut. But now one donut can create lots of little different pieces of padding to create these gorgeous textured styles, even on short hair, fine hair. The prep gives it that volume, and because there's no back combing in here, there's a little tiny bit at the root, but none of these sections here. This volume has been created by the hair prep.
Jess, that's amazing. Thank you, Pam.
Pleasure.
My bridal.
Good, I'm glad. Thank you for joining me tonight. And yeah, I hope you can join me next week. I hope this has been helpful. We'll be back again. If everything goes smoothly, touch wood, fingers crossed. We'll be back 7 p.m. next week. In the meantime, if you have any questions, just let me know. Join me online, and we've got 150, 170 tutorials on there already, and more in the pipeline. But I hope you've enjoyed this tutorial. I hope you like this lovely, soft textured style, and I will see you soon. Take care and have a great week. Bye.